The first introduction of your dog in your home and the foster dog should be done in a neutral area. This could be a walk in your neighborhood. Your resident dog should be allowed to sniff and enjoy the walk. They shouldn't be paying a lot of attention to the new dog. Start out with the dogs at a distance, such as across the street from one another. They shouldn't be paying a lot of attention to each other. Keep walking until the dogs are relaxed and not paying too much attention to each other. You may stop and take breaks to discuss with the other person what your next step should be, whether the dogs are ready to get closer or not. You can also use this time to allow the dogs to sniff and take a break. If you decide that the dogs are ready, one person can cross the street. This should be done at an angle while the other dog is walking straight. Then the dogs should walk one in front of the other, with a safe distance in between them. You can turn around and go the opposite direction to allow the dogs to switch who's in front. Once the dogs are becoming more comfortable and more relaxed around each other, and this could also happen with the dogs becoming more tired on their walk, you can gradually move the dogs closer. Remember to keep the dogs at a safe distance. This may require putting yourself in between the dogs or shortening the leash of one or both dogs. If you live in a location that doesn't allow you to walk through the neighborhood, or you need a quieter area, you may try a driveway or a parking lot to start the introduction. Make sure that your resident dog is comfortable and repeat the similar steps as demonstrated before. Walking the dogs in a parallel line, sometimes in front of each other and behind each other, and sometimes one walking next to the other. Remember to keep a safe distance between the dogs and make sure that both dogs are comfortable. Ideally, while you're on your walk with your dogs, they will naturally move closer to one another. Allow the dogs to also exhibit natural behavior, which may mean stopping for some sniffing breaks if the dogs choose to. The best sign is when dogs are performing behaviors together, such as sniffing together, taking breaks together, walking at a similar pace, or looking at the same things together. You can mimic this by allowing the dogs to pause in similar locations and sniff the same things. You can also mimic this by matching the gait of the other dog, so the dogs are walking at a similar gait near each other. If you have a backyard that the dogs will be sharing, next you want to introduce them there. The introduction should begin on leash, and you'll repeat the steps that you've already done. This should not be where the dogs have their first introduction. Allow the dogs to get comfortable in the backyard. You should have the new dog visit the backyard first, and then bring your resident dog out. Then you can walk them parallel or even do some drive-bys like these dogs are doing, one walking past the other. Allow the dogs to exhibit normal behavior. Do not put too much tension on the leash, but keep the dogs a safe distance from each other until the dog's body language is relaxed and they show that they are comfortable with being close to one another. Don't ever force interactions between two dogs. Allow it to happen naturally when both dogs are relaxed. If the dogs are both relaxed and not showing any concerning signs, you may choose to drop the leash of one or both dogs. At first, it's recommended that you leave the leashes on and allow the dogs to drag them, so if there are problems, you can pick up one or both leashes. After the outdoor introductions, bring the new dog into your house on leash and show them around the areas where they will be allowed to be. Allow them to explore around the area with a loose leash. You want to make sure that the dog is relaxed in the home before you bring in the resident dog. After your new dog is relaxed and ready, then you can bring in the resident dog, also on leash. Do some introductions, whether that be parallel walking, one behind the other, one in front of the other, or side by side, or even some drive-bys. Remember to keep the leashes as loose as possible during this time. Both dogs should be relaxed. If you notice any concerning signs, go ahead and separate the dogs and allow them to take a break. You certainly don't want the dogs to have any sort of bad association with being introduced in the house. After a break and both dogs have been allowed to rest, you can start over from the beginning, starting with outside introduction, until the dogs are comfortable with one another, and then you can try the indoor introduction again. If both dogs are relaxed in the home, you can repeat dropping the leashes but allowing them to drag for safety purposes. This can be a very stressful time for one or both dogs. During this time, it's important to allow the dogs to remain comfortable and relaxed. If you have any trouble during this introduction process, please feel free to reach out to the Behavior Department or the Foster Department for additional information. If you have multiple dogs in your household, you will need to repeat this process with each of them.